Hi, my name is Magnus, and today I would like to talk about bleedings. Now, first of all, please ignore the hair, I just couldn't make it work. Also, my speech is a little bit difficult right now. I'm not sure exactly why. This is like the eighth attempt I'm having, so I'm gonna rely a lot on my notes. I'm sorry if I'm gonna be looking down, reading. I'm trying my best. So, bleedings. Also known as the that time of the month, the menstrual cycle, the um, period. It has many names. It can happen to any human that has ovaries, but it's not necessarily going to happen to everyone that has ovaries. They can last from 3 to 5 days, quite short, or it can be longer than that, 8 to 10 days, or even longer than that. I used to have 12 days cycles, 12 day bleedings until quite recently. And I'm 33, so it usually follows a set timeline between 27 to 28 days, but it can be irregular. But it can also be affected by emotional, physical, and your mental health. Issues like depression, anxiety, anemia, stress, endometriosis, among others, can affect it not only on their length but also the timeline and the symptoms accompanying it. The symptoms that are side symptoms or side effects of the bleeding cycle can vary a lot between light, moderate, and severe, and they can be things like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, cravings, aches and pains, among others. They can be before the bleeding cycle, during the bleeding cycle, or after the bleeding cycle. A brief note of caution: your bleeding cycle doesn't have to be irregular, but if it's lasting more than 10 days and you're soaking a pad in less than an hour or 2 hours, you should check up with your doctor. Now, for trans people, bleeding can be a very difficult topic, not only to go through, but to talk about, because it can represent society's view of your gender. It can also make feeling comfortable in your own body difficult because of your changing voice, your changing curves, etc. Of course, a way to make it disappear could be starting testosterone. Another option is the removal of the ovaries, among other surgical procedures. Unfortunately, though, these procedures and treatments are rather expensive, not usually covered in all um, health insurances, but they're also not accessible to minors. So, for all of those that can't access any option for one reason or another, there is a list of ideas to improve those difficult days. They are not in a particular order, but I do hope that you try at least a few a couple times. Let's start with feeling comfortable in your clothes. Whether it's a pajama, yoga pants, leggings, it can make you feel at ease. If your skin is sensitive, I suggest testing many materials or fabrics to ensure the best option for you. Avoiding general tightness, especially in joints, your back, and your stomach or cervix area. Baggy clothing or very light clothing can help you as well, hiding your curves if that is something that you want. Next, it's usually best to avoid caffeine and carbonated drinks. Irritants such as those can make your stomach cramp, can also cause or increase diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting. And the empty sugars won't exactly help you. If you want a hot beverage, you can prepare a flower or plant infusion like chamomile, orange peels, rosemary, especially since most of them are natural anti inflammatory. Home remedies. I also tend to enjoy more frozen or cold beverages because it makes me feel refreshed um, after the ickiness of all that bleeding. Again, I will suggest nothing caffeine, but also avoid milk or any dairies because they can affect with the diarrhea, the nausea, and the vomiting. Next is alcohol like wine or spiced wine. They can actually help you with the inflammation because it helps uh, increase the veins, so the blood flow. It can help you out, but I wouldn't recommend going beyond a glass every now and then, especially if you take medications. Be careful with that. Ask your doctor if you're wondering about interactions. Also, and that this is like a warning, be wary of alcohols of any kind because if you know that your hormones can have a great imbalance during that time. um, uh, Alcohol unfortunately is a natural depressant, so it makes you depressive naturally, so be very careful of that, be very mindful of that. Next, exercise, moving around. I have done yoga, dancing, and kendo. All three are quite different, but they all work for me one way or another to relieve the stress and pain of the bleeding cycle. It doesn't really matter at the end how much you move or what exactly you do to move around, as long as you are moving. A gentle stretch or a long walk can maybe something like 30 minutes of a run. It will depend on your body, but try as much as you can to move before your bleeding cycle because that will help out with your muscles, with the stress, the endorphins. It can also give you a sense of control, which is really helpful when your body is not doing something that you want. Exercising can be quite difficult during your bleeding cycle, so don't force yourself to do it. Try if you can, and if you feel like it is helping, give it a push. But don't force yourself before beyond the limit. I another thing that I have tried and I have heard other people trying as well, and it has helped them and as well as me, is moving in your own bed. If you're not able to get up, dress up, and go running, just flap around in your bed, move around, do yoga in bed. That simple movement, even if it's almost nothing, will help out to again give you a sense of control, give you a sense of moving forward, as well as giving your joints, your muscles a little bit of a stretch. Next, a hot water bottle is really amazing. It can help you battle the cramping, colics, and also relax the inflamed area. You can also add herbs or flowers to relax with the smell of it, the perfumes of the flowers and stuff. Crafting or buying a sleeve for the water bottle can also help you feel better. I usually use my head cover from Kendo, so that is not touching directly my skin. But I also use this shawl that my grandma gave me. It's to give an idea of comfort and a calming sensation, something that you like. You could also make it like your pride flag or something like that, something cute, something that you like, something that makes you feel happy. Next, And this one, most probably, a lot of people have heard it or has heard it say by me, actually, journaling. Keeping a log or journal of your cycle, specifically of your cycle, can help you anticipate the dates uh, of your cycle, so you can change appointments, take the days off, or do a meal prep during those days. um, you can also detect when something is wrong. If you're bleeding more than usual for longer periods of time, maybe, or if you're feeling more cramping than usual, anything, you can write it down, read it, and notice it. I do keep a journal where I'm taking notes of those kinds of things, and it does help. Next, schedule activities that relax you, that make you happy, and or bolsters your gender identity. Having stuff prepared before, during, and after those dates will help you to transition on something that doesn't really help you in a smooth way, or at least not as bumpy, not as horrible, because you are going to remind yourself of who you are and what gender means to you, what you are, over and over and over again, so that you don't let yourself be drowned by all the dysphoria that bleeding might give you. The activities will depend completely on you, on your capacities and likes and dislikes. It can be alone with other people, it can be inside your house, outside your house. Just having everything prepared will help you out to control the situation and to make like a battle plan against the dysphoria and the stress and everything that comes with bleeding. Next one, eat well. Depending on your symptoms, you might feel nauseated, or maybe have cravings or diarrhea, like I said. Also, other emotional factors can affect your appetite and eating habits. So, write down healthy options and not so healthy options to have during such times. Always try the healthy ones first, but allow yourself a treat as well. It's painful enough to bleed and cramp, so just be kind to yourself. Have something that it's already prepared just to heat up or just to take out of the fridge, or and have other things that are very easy to prepare, like almost a ready meal, if not a ready meal. And finally, have something that requires a lot more work. Try first the ones that require more work. Then, if you can't, go with the ones that are not so difficult, and finally go with the other ones. It's a good idea to keep them like in a booklet so that you can pick depending on what you have inside your house for ingredients. And with that, the next one, meal prepping, can be actually a very good option. Because if you tend to struggle to cook during those days, having it all prepared just to heat it up, it's gonna make things a lot better. Even if it's just having a chicken boiled, just drop one chicken, put one onion, one garlic, and let it boil with a little bit of salt maybe, and then you can do whatever you want with that. I have actually done that, and it's very helpful when you have a lot of lack of appetite or you don't feel as good, you're feeling nauseated with everything. Having something that doesn't have a lot of flavor can help you out depending on how you feel, because you can mix it up, change it, add it stuff. Not as difficult as something that is already seasoned. Next, pads are the easiest period product to find. There's many brands and sizes. They can hold a good amount of blood, and there's options to have invisible. It will depend on how much you bleed, though. They can be quite small, like this one. They can be like this one, or like this one. These ones are the biggest ones, and unfortunately, those are the ones that I usually use, because I bleed like I'm having a freaking hemorrhage. It's horrible. Now, the cons. They are stupidly gendered. I mean, flowers, flowers, pink, really gendered. There's other ones that have even lipstick and high heels designs on the sleeves and shit. Sorry, sorry. It just I don't specifically like it. Now, um, colors and designs don't really have a gender, but for someone that is not able to express themselves outwardly, or they're still suffering with a great deal of dysphoria because of the bleeding, something as the gender on a paper can make you feel really bad. You also need to change it every 2 hours, and holy goddess, the sound it makes when you're trying to remove it in the middle of a public stall, it's so loud. It can move out of place if you move around too much, and if you sleep longer than usual, you might wake up with an accident. My suggestion will be to have as many pads as you usually use every month. Even if you use less the month before, don't trust it, just have always a few. If you don't have the economy to buy them constantly, try and like Google and mark every place that gives them for free, and always go and get some for every month. Also, have like a black pouch or something to carry them so that you don't have to stress over the paper. There's some brands that are already trying to do genderless pads. I'm not exactly sure how expensive or cheap they can be in your country, so try and Google them if you like. Next one, tampons are the second most common option. They have different sizes too, and simplicity of application. While their packaging tends to be gendered, their individual packaging might not be that gendered. Unfortunately, I cannot find the tampons that I have, so I won't be able to show any examples. So they can be invisible, they can be quite invisible. Possibilities of them moving out of place are minimal. They don't make noise or bulk when changing them in a restroom, and you can go swimming with them as well. The cons, they are still gendered in general, even if only a little bit. Still need to change multiple times a day. You can still find yourself with an accident, unfortunately, and it's quite easy for you to feel them inside. It can even be painful if you don't know how to put them. The recommendation remains the same as before. Keep a pouch that it's like this one separately so that it doesn't bother you much. And with both of those, you can try and schedule the changing so that you are either at home or in a place that it's safe for you. Next one, the menstrual cup. I think is one of the best options, but I might be biased. It's just as invisible as a tampon. The packaging tends to be gendered, but you can get them in neutral colors like white. Keeping them on a pouch of any preferred colors can be much easier. I actually use this one to keep mine. It can hold more blood than the tampon and pad combined, and you only need to change it between 10 to 12 hours. That means twice a day, which also means there is no public there's it's not going to be easy for you to have a nocturnal accident, a public restroom accident, or anything like that. It's also eco-friendly because it's reusable, and it's quite economic because of the same reason. One cup can last you between 6 months to 10 years, depending on the material. So you can wear normal clothes if you like. You can even put a packer on. I have actually done it. Have used a packer before with the pads. It was impossible with a tampon. It was a little bit stressful, but with the cup, I have been able to use my packer without much of a problem. And one thing that I have to say that was like the most important part maybe is that I was able to shower without seeing like the Red Sea on my bathroom floor, because I used a cup and there is no blood everywhere. It's amazing. I really hate showering during my cycle, and having the cup has made it much easier, or at least not as bad, not as horrible. Cons: you have to wash it. Putting it on and removing it requires you to touch inside you. Throw the blood on usually the water ball. Can't remember right now the word, but you have to throw it on the toilet and rinse it with water. When you're done with your cycle, you also have to clean it with soap and water and let it rest on boiling water. It's very important to keep it clean because of bacteria. I mean, it's going inside you, so you have to be very careful. For that reason, it can be very overwhelming, disgusting, and dysphoric. And it can be very difficult to do inside a public stall because of the same reason. It can also take you some time to get used to how to put it for that reason, and because of how it goes inside, it needs trial and error to know how to do it. It took me around 2 months to get used to it, but it might have been because I don't have much strength on my hands, which makes it difficult for me against the airtight that creates my insides, basically. So this is the menstrual cup, and the way you do it is you fold it. You have to fold it, put it inside, move it around, twist it so that you hear it or feel it like pop out. You tug it to make sure that it's airtight, and you leave it there. The problem is that it will depend on the size of your cervix, how deep it has to go, and the size of the cup. So you have to literally do on a trial and error, but you can also ask help to your gynecologist if you have a gynecologist and you feel safe and comfortable discussing such a thing with them. Because I'm biased, though, I'm gonna mention that even though the cons are quite difficult to swallow at first, you get used to it, and washing it's again only 2 times a day. You won't have to be smelling blood. You won't have to be like having accidents or anything like that. And eventually you stop feeling it. You stop noticing that it's there, and it's amazing. Some people say that it helps to diminish the length of time. I'm not sure. I haven't found any proof of that, any scientific testing that or study, nothing that proves it. But people say that, and also people say that it helps diminish cramping and colics. Again, not sure about that. It hasn't happened to me, unfortunately. I'm still having just as much cramping. I did notice a shortening on my days, but I'm not sure if that is because of the new treatment that I'm following, or because of the lupus, or if it's something about the cup. Not really sure, but that's how it is, and you can decide and try. Especially, again, I'm biased with the cup, but I haven't had much issue, and I don't have a great economy, so not having to buy that many pads or tampons every freaking month, it's just really life saving, more like money saving, and it took me some time, and I still use from time to time a pad like the most invisible one, to make sure, because again my hands are very weak and I cannot place it correctly sometimes, so I stress about it and I don't want to have an accident, so I just put one. uh, Even the times that I have forgotten to change it, because it's that amazing that I can forget about it so easily, and it's been like more than 14 hours, and there's not much of a leak through. There is a little bit, but again, I'm talking about 14 hours of not changing it. It's amazing. So you decide. I will suggest you try if you're capable of buying. Don't try to go as cheap as you can. Again, it's a material that is going to be inside you. If you can get help from uh, a transgender clinic that can help you with such things, or with a gynecologist, if you are comfortable with someone that knows, um, and it will be good if you can talk with someone, or you can also ask help from your cisgender female friends that can talk with their gynecologist maybe about it. I don't know. I just thought maybe they could help. I don't have that many cisgender female friends, so I did it on my own. I investigated. I bought one, and it has changed my life a lot. So if you can, try it. And that's all those are all the ideas that I could gather. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you have other recommendations, also add them to the comments. They are very welcome. um, I I really hope this video was helpful in some way. Um, those days are very difficult for me, so I imagine that a lot of people have them just as bad or worse. So I hope that my experience can help you. And again, any questions, feel free to ask. Any recommendations, please do comment them, because we need more ideas to battle this situation before we are able to move forward with another kind of treatment, or things get better on their own, if possible. I don't know. So either way, thank you much. Thank you again. My brain dying. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another time. Hopefully before next month, because it's already the end of this month. I'm so sorry. I had promised to upload a new video last month. Couldn't. Have been having a very terrible time with lupus and Meniere's, because now I know that I have Meniere's. So yay! Actually, that's a common thing. People with autoimmune diseases like lupus tend to have other autoimmune diseases like Meniere's. So great, nice. I'm collecting them like Pokemon. Nice. But either way, thank you so very much. Have a lovely day, afternoon, or night, and thank you for watching. Bye.